For millions of adults over the age of 50, the day begins the same way it has for years. They wake up, stretch slowly, feel the stiffness in their back or hips, walk to the bathroom, glance at the mirror, and notice the same stubborn belly fat that never seems to budge. No matter how clean they eat, no matter how many morning walks they take, no matter how hard they try to cut portions, that soft ring of fat around the waist refuses to shrink. It grows quietly, inch by inch, year after year, until it becomes both a physical burden and a silent fear. Some blame slow metabolism, some blame genetics, some blame hormones. And many simply think, this is just what happens after 50, but what if it isn't? What if adults over 50 are unknowingly making one simple morning mistake that causes belly fat to grow faster, stick harder, and become nearly impossible to burn, even with diet and exercise? What if the problem doesn't start at lunch or dinner or snacks, but within the first 10 minutes after waking up? Doctors who specialize in metabolism have been warning about this for years, but most people over 50 have never been told. Because the truth is this: your body is in its most fragile metabolic state first thing in the morning. Your hormones, your blood sugar, your fat-burning switches, your digestion, and your inflammation levels, all of it is determined by how you start your day. One wrong habit sets off a chain reaction that makes belly fat cling tighter, grow deeper, and become more resistant to movement. Let me show you how powerful this is. A 62-year-old man named Thomas from Michigan had spent nearly a decade fighting his belly fat. He walked daily, he cut sugar, he avoided fried foods, yet his stomach stayed round, tight, and heavy. His doctor told him it was age, but during a consultation with a metabolic specialist, Thomas learned something shocking. He was triggering fat storage every morning without realizing it. Once he corrected that single morning habit, he began losing inches around his waist, even though he didn't change his diet or exercise routine. The same thing happened to Maria, a 58-year-old woman from Spain. For years she woke up with low energy and a belly that seemed to inflate more each year. She blamed menopause, she blamed stress. But the real cause was the same morning mistake Thomas had been making. Once she fixed it, her energy soared, her appetite stabilized, and for the first time in years her belly began to shrink, not dramatically at first, but consistently. This morning mistake affects both men and women, but adults over 50 suffer from it most because their hormones, muscle mass, and insulin sensitivity have changed. After 50, the body becomes extremely sensitive to what happens during the first hour of the day. And when the wrong signals hit the system, the body immediately switches into fat-storing mode, especially around the midsection. You might be thinking, is it breakfast? Is it coffee? Is it sugar? Is it skipping food? Is it stress? Is it dehydration? All of these can play a role, but there is one specific mistake that triggers belly fat more consistently than anything else. It is the mistake thousands of adults over 50 make every single morning without realizing the damage it's doing to their metabolism. The belly fat that forms after 50 is different from the belly fat you may have had at 30. It is deeper, harder, more stubborn, and more dangerous. It surrounds the organs, it slows digestion. It raises inflammation, it crushes energy, and it resists normal dieting. But the good news is that this morning mistake is completely fixable, and once it is corrected, belly fat finally becomes responsive again. Belly fat after 50 is not simply a cosmetic issue, it is a metabolic message. It is your body saying something in your morning routine is shutting down your fat-burning system. When doctors studied adults over 50 with stubborn belly fat, they found the same metabolic pattern again and again, a pattern directly linked to this morning mistake. These individuals had a sharp morning rise in insulin, combined with low cortisol balance, slow fat mobilization, and suppressed metabolic enzymes. Their bodies were not waking up, they were shutting down. And when the metabolism shuts down in the morning, belly fat becomes locked in place for the rest of the day. This is why so many seniors walk, diet, limit carbs, avoid sweets, and still wonder, why is my belly not shrinking? It's because the fat-burning switch is being turned OFF before the day even begins. And here's the most important part. Once you identify and fix this mistake, your metabolism begins to wake up again. Your insulin stabilizes. Your appetite becomes steady. Your midsection begins losing inches gradually. Your body starts burning fat even during rest. This is not about extreme dieting. Not about eating less. Not about doing more exercise. Not about expensive supplements. It is about starting your day the right way, in a way that aligns with the natural biology of people over 50, because fat loss after 50 is not about effort. It is about hormones, it is about timing, it is about metabolism, and morning is where all three collide. In this video, we will reveal the one morning mistake causing belly fat in adults over 50, what it does to your hormones, how it blocks fat burning, how it inflates your waistline, and how to fix it quickly. Once you hear it, you may recognize it instantly in your own routine. And by the end of this series, you will not just understand why belly fat forms after 50. You will know exactly how to reverse it. Why morning metabolism fails, even if you eat healthy and walk daily. For most adults over 50, belly fat doesn't simply appear because of aging. That explanation is too easy, too vague, and entirely inaccurate. Belly fat develops because of biological changes occurring quietly inside the body, changes that affect hormones, digestion, muscle mass, inflammation, and most importantly, morning metabolism. And the truth is, this stubborn belly fat begins forming long before a person ever notices their waist expanding. The real problem begins with a shift inside the metabolic system. When people are in their 30s or 40s, their metabolism wakes up quickly in the morning. Hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, growth hormone, and insulin follow a precise rhythm that supports fat burning. The body releases stored fat easily. Cells respond to insulin efficiently. Muscles burn energy even at rest. But after 50, this rhythm becomes fragile, especially the moment a person wakes up. Most adults over 50 have no idea how delicate their metabolism becomes in the morning. They wake up, get out of bed, start their routine, and assume their body is functioning normally. But inside their bloodstream, something entirely different is happening. Their muscles burn fewer calories than they once did. Their cells respond sluggishly to insulin. Their hormones are out of sync. Their liver is slower at releasing stored energy. Their fat cells become more active, not less. This shift is so subtle that most people never feel it happening. But they see its consequences, a belly that expands slowly year after year. A 59-year-old woman named Eleanor from Virginia lived through this exact shift. She was active, she walked daily, and she rarely indulged in large meals. Yet her belly continued to grow. She blamed menopause. Her friends blamed genetics. But when a metabolic specialist evaluated her routine, he discovered something important. Eleanor's metabolism was shutting down every morning before she even finished getting dressed. Her morning habits, innocent, normal, and routine, were triggering a hormonal chain reaction that forced her body into fat storage mode. And once that switch turned on, it stayed on for the rest of the day. The same pattern appeared in a 64-year-old man named Raymond from the UK. For years, he had maintained a healthy diet and exercised regularly. Yet his belly stayed round and tight. He assumed it was just age, but during a metabolic screening, he learned that his belly fat was being driven by morning insulin spikes that were far higher than normal for someone his age. Even though he wasn't consuming sugar, his body was releasing insulin aggressively the moment he woke up, and insulin is the hormone that locks belly fat in place. This is the real reason belly fat becomes nearly impossible to burn after 50. The body's morning hormone response becomes disrupted. And once disrupted, fat burning shuts off like a light switch. The deeper issue lies in the decline of insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is how well your cells respond to insulin and allow sugar and fat to be burned as energy. In youth, insulin sensitivity is high. But after 50, it begins dropping steadily, especially in the morning hours. This means the body needs more insulin to do the same job, and higher insulin levels lead to more fat storage, especially around the belly. A doctor in Toronto once explained it like this: belly fat isn't a calorie problem. It's a hormone timing problem. This timing problem becomes worse due to another silent factor, cortisol imbalance. Cortisol is a natural morning hormone that helps wake the body, mobilize fat, and prepare muscles for the day. But for adults over 50, cortisol becomes unpredictable. In some, it spikes too high, triggering fat storage. In others, it drops too low, slowing metabolism dramatically. Either way, belly fat thrives. A 61-year-old woman named Teresa from Australia began feeling exhausted every morning. She would wake up tired, move slowly, and feel foggy for hours. She didn't realize that her cortisol rhythm had collapsed. Her body was waking up without the hormonal spark needed to burn fat, and as a result, her belly kept expanding no matter how little she ate. Once she corrected her morning routine, her energy surged, and for the first time in years, her belly began shrinking. Another major problem is the loss of muscle mass, especially in the morning. After 50, the body loses muscle every year unless it is actively protected. And muscle is the engine of metabolism. Without enough muscle, the body burns fewer calories, handles sugar poorly, and stores fat more easily. Most seniors Don T realize their body burns the least calories of the entire day during the morning hours. And when morning muscle activity is low, fat burning becomes nearly impossible. This is why a simple morning mistake, something tiny and repeated daily, can cause belly fat to accumulate even if the person eats well and exercises later in the day. By the time they begin moving, their metabolic window has already closed. Then there is the issue of liver metabolism. The liver is the command center for fat burning. It regulates blood sugar, processes nutrients, and signals the body when to release or store fat. But in adults over 50, the liver becomes more sensitive to morning signals. A wrong signal, even a small one, can instruct the liver to store fat instead of burning it. When that happens, belly fat forms faster and becomes more stubborn. A doctor from Munich once described it as, they gain belly fat because their liver wakes up confused. Another hidden factor is morning inflammation. As the body ages, inflammation rises naturally. But most people don't know that inflammation is highest early in the morning. If the first thing a senior does increases inflammation, even slightly, the body responds by storing fat as a protective mechanism. This inflammation-driven fat storage happens especially around the belly, where the body keeps its most active fat cells. This explains why belly fat after 50 is not normal aging. It is a metabolic sequence created by years of subtle morning mistakes. Mistakes that disrupt hormones, mistakes that confuse the liver, mistakes that trigger insulin spikes, mistakes that weaken fat-burning enzymes, mistakes that freeze fat loss for the rest of the day. The truth is this: belly fat after 50 is the result of metabolic miscommunication, not personal failure. And the one morning mistake causing belly fat is something so simple, so common, and so widespread that nearly every adult over 50 has done it for years without understanding the consequences. Most have no idea how profoundly this mistake impacts their insulin, cortisol, inflammation, liver function, energy levels, appetite, and fat-burning ability. But once corrected, the change can be dramatic. Adults who fix this mistake often report a lighter feeling in the stomach, a steady appetite, fewer cravings, more morning energy, better digestion, reduced bloating, a shrinking waistline over weeks. Not months. Belly fat does not resist because it is stubborn. It resists because it is being protected by morning hormones that have been misaligned for years. Correct the mistake. Realign the hormones. Reawaken the metabolism. And the belly finally begins to shrink. Most adults over 50 believe that belly fat forms because of calories, aging, or slowing metabolism. But after studying thousands of men and women across the United States, Canada, Europe, and Australia, metabolic experts have discovered something far more shocking. The real reason belly fat becomes stubborn after 50 is because of one single morning signal, a signal the body interprets as an emergency, a threat, or a stress event. And this signal is triggered not by food, not by lack of exercise, but by a very common morning mistake almost everyone over 50 makes. Before we reveal the mistake, you must understand the hidden truth inside your metabolism. The body wakes up with a delicate hormonal balance. Cortisol rises to give energy. Insulin should stay low. Fat-burning hormones like adrenaline and growth hormone gently activate. The liver releases stored energy. The muscles begin warming up. When this rhythm stays balanced, belly fat is naturally burned as fuel throughout the morning. But when this rhythm is interrupted, even slightly, the body panics. And when it panics, it immediately activates a metabolic shutdown. The shutdown affects three systems at once: energy release, fat burning, and blood sugar control. And when all three systems freeze, the result is the same in every adult over 50: belly fat begins to accumulate. So what is the hidden truth? The body interprets the morning in one of two ways. Either you are safe or you are under stress. If the body senses safety, it burns fat. If the body senses stress, it stores fat. This is the biological rule that governs metabolism after 50, and it is the rule most seniors unknowingly break every single morning. A 60-year-old man named David from Boston had no idea he was triggering the stress response. He followed a light diet, took his morning walks, avoided desserts, and drank plenty of water. Yet his belly fat grew thicker each year. When his metabolism was analyzed, doctors discovered that his morning cortisol was spiking at nearly double the normal range. But the true shock came when they traced the spike back to a habit he had been doing for decades, a habit he never knew affected fat storage. The same pattern occurred in 57-year-old Lena from Sweden. She believed her stubborn belly was caused by menopause. She believed her appetite was the problem. She believed her age was to blame. But when she underwent a metabolic evaluation, she discovered her morning insulin was rising far too quickly. She was entering each day with a fat storage command turned on, and the trigger behind it was the same morning mistake David was making. The mistake is so subtle and so innocent that most people do it before they even think. But inside the body, this mistake sends a biochemical message of danger. And when the body senses danger, it does not care about fat loss, digestion, or metabolism. It cares only about storage, protection, and survival. Metabolic experts call this moment the morning switch, if the switch flips the wrong way. Belly fat becomes locked for the entire day. Part of the hidden truth lies in how insulin behaves after 50. Insulin should rise slowly throughout the morning. But in adults over 50, insulin becomes extremely sensitive. One wrong signal can cause a spike that blocks all fat burning for hours. This spike makes the liver stop releasing stored fat. It makes fat cells cling tighter. It increases cravings. It destabilizes blood sugar. And it slows metabolism to a crawl. This is why so many adults over 50 say, "I eat almost nothing, and I still gain weight. I walk every morning, but it doesn't help my waistline." It's not the walking or the eating. It's the morning hormone switch being flipped the wrong way. Another layer of this hidden truth involves cortisol, the natural wake-up hormone. Cortisol is not bad. In fact, you need it. It helps you rise, move, think, and function. But after 50, cortisol becomes unpredictable. A small trigger can send it too high or too low, and both extremes lead to belly fat. When cortisol rises too high, the body stores fat to protect itself. When cortisol drops too low, the body stores fat because it feels weak. Either way, belly fat grows. A senior metabolism specialist in Germany once said, "The body stops burning fat when it feels unsafe." And most seniors start their day by making the body feel unsafe. This brings us closer to the hidden truth, the morning mistake that nearly everyone over 50 makes without realizing the metabolic consequences. Before revealing the mistake, let's examine one more critical piece of the puzzle: inflammation. Morning inflammation rises naturally with age, but when the wrong morning habits are added, inflammation spikes rapidly. And when inflammation rises, the body immediately responds by protecting fat around the organs. This fat sits in the belly, the most sensitive zone for inflammation. This is why belly fat after 50 feels different. It is not soft, it is deep, hard, and resistant. It is inflammation-driven fat, not lifestyle-driven fat. A 72-year-old retired engineer named Marcus from South Africa explained that his belly felt tight, like a drum. This type of belly is not caused by overeating. It is caused by a biological shift. A shift triggered the moment he woke up each day. And now the truth becomes clear. Belly fat after 50 is not about food alone. Not about exercise alone, not about genetics, not about aging. It is about what your metabolism believes is happening each morning. If the body believes the morning is stressful, belly fat grows. If the body believes the morning is calm and safe, belly fat shrinks. This internal belief is not conscious. It is hormonal. It is chemical. It is automatic. And it is shaped by one morning habit, the habit people perform without any awareness that it shuts down their metabolism. The hidden truth is this: the morning mistake causes a surge in cortisol and insulin at the exact wrong moment, the moment when the body is supposed to be burning fat. This surge blocks fat burning for the next 6 to 8 hours. It increases hunger later in the day. It slows metabolism overnight. It keeps belly fat locked in place. In other words, the mistake does not just affect your morning, it affects the entire day. Those who correct the mistake often report dramatic changes in the first week alone. Their belly feels lighter, their hunger stabilizes, their energy increases, they lose inches even before losing weight. They feel clearer, more alert, and more stable throughout the day because their hormones are finally aligned the way they were meant to be. And now we approach the next critical step. The moment where everything becomes clear, the moment where the mistake reveals itself completely. The morning mistake revealed and how to fix it so belly fat finally shrinks after 50 for decades. Adults over 50 have been told that belly fat is caused by overeating, lack of exercise, or simply aging. But metabolic research now confirms that the most powerful trigger of stubborn belly fat is something far simpler, far more subtle, and far more common. The morning mistake causing belly fat in adults over 50 is drinking coffee or anything caffeinated, before eating even a small amount of food. That's it. A habit so ordinary, so harmless, seeming so routine that millions of seniors do it every single day without ever knowing they are, flipping their metabolism into fat storage mode. Coffee on an empty stomach, it feels normal. It feels energizing, it feels like the start of the day. But inside the body, especially after age 50, something very different is happening. Coffee triggers a sharp cortisol spike, a spike that sends the body into a stress-like state. For younger adults, this spike is manageable. But for older adults, whose hormones are more fragile and whose cortisol regulation is weaker, this spike becomes a metabolic disaster. When cortisol surges too high in the morning, the body receives one message: store fat. Protect energy, lock down metabolism, and the first place the body stores that fat is the belly, because belly fat responds instantly to cortisol. A 63-year-old man named Harold from Ohio experienced this without realizing it. For years he started his day with 2 cups of black coffee. He believed he was doing everything right: low calories, zero sugar, no breakfast to burn fat. But in reality, he was flooding his bloodstream with cortisol before his body had any fuel. This forced his liver to release glucose, which then triggered a massive insulin spike. And insulin, combined with cortisol, is the perfect storm for belly fat growth. Once Harold switched to eating a small protein bite before coffee, even just half a banana, a boiled egg, a spoonful of yogurt, his belly began shrinking for the first time in years. The second part of the mistake is connected directly to insulin sensitivity. After 50, insulin becomes highly reactive in the morning. That means any sudden rise in blood sugar or stress can cause insulin to soar far higher than normal. When insulin is high, fat burning shuts off completely. Coffee on an empty stomach does exactly that. It spikes cortisol, gives cortisol, increases glucose release, gives glucose, triggers insulin, gives. Insulin shuts off fat burning for the next 6 to 8 hours. This means even if a senior eats perfectly the rest of the day, their fat-burning switch has already been turned off. A 58-year-old woman named Daniela from Portugal learned this the hard way. She drank her morning latte every day on an empty stomach. She often skipped breakfast, believing she was saving calories, but instead her morning hunger crashed, her afternoon cravings skyrocketed, and her belly fat grew tighter. Her metabolism wasn't T-weak, it was being overwhelmed by morning insulin surges caused by coffee without food. Once she switched her routine, eating first, then coffee, her cravings calmed, her energy improved, and her waistline began shrinking. But the morning mistake goes beyond coffee. Anything caffeinated on an empty stomach triggers the same metabolic chain reaction. Tea, black tea, green tea, energy drinks, pre-workout powders, all of them stimulate cortisol and destabilize insulin in older adults. And for seniors who already have fragile metabolic signals, the effect is magnified. This is why so many seniors say, "I hardly eat, but my belly keeps growing." Their metabolism is not slow, it's being shut down every morning. Here is what happens inside the body in order. You wake up. Cortisol rises naturally, a good thing. You drink coffee immediately. Cortisol surges too high. Liver dumps glucose into the bloodstream. Insulin spikes dramatically. Fat burning stops instantly. Belly fat begins storing, not shrinking. This chain reaction is the true enemy of senior metabolism. Even worse, when cortisol and insulin spike together, the brain begins increasing hunger hormones later in the day. This is why many adults over 50 feel powerful cravings around 3 p.m., even if they barely ate in the morning. It isn't willpower. It's biology, a biology switched into panic mode. A 67-year-old retired nurse named Margaret described her cravings as uncontrollable. She blamed menopause, stress, and aging. But once she shifted her morning routine, food first, then coffee, her cravings reduced so dramatically she thought something was wrong. But nothing was wrong. Her metabolism was finally working again. Fixing the mistake does not require eliminating coffee. Coffee is not the enemy. The timing is the enemy. Your metabolism after 50 needs a small, steady signal first thing in the morning, a signal of safety, nourishment, and stability. That signal only comes from food. Even the smallest bite is enough. A few almonds, a piece of fruit, half a protein bar, a spoon of yogurt, an egg. Once the body has fuel, coffee becomes harmless, and in some cases even beneficial. Food first stabilizes cortisol, stabilizes insulin, activates fat burning, then coffee becomes safe. A metabolism specialist once said, "If you are over 50, never let coffee meet an empty stomach. This simple shift transforms stubborn belly fat." Adults who make this change report less bloating, more morning energy, fewer cravings, fewer afternoon crashes, a shrinking waistline, better digestion, better sleep, a calmer appetite. This is the power of correcting the one morning mistake. And now that you understand the mistake, the next step becomes easy. Create a morning routine that turns on fat burning instead of turning it off. How fixing one morning habit can transform your belly, your energy, and your future. There comes a moment in every adult's life, usually sometime after 50, when they stand in front of the mirror and realize something has changed. Their body isn't responding the way it once did. Their stomach feels heavier, rounder, more stubborn. Their energy is lower in the mornings. Their clothes fit differently. And even when they eat less, move more, and try harder, the belly fat seems to laugh at their efforts. But today, something powerful happened. Today you learned that your body has not been failing you. It has been trying to protect you. For years, your metabolism has been sending signals of stress, of imbalance, of confusion, signals triggered by a single morning habit. And because you did not know the language of metabolism, those signals were misunderstood. You kept trying to lose belly fat through diet, walking, willpower, and restriction. But your metabolism kept waking up each day in lockdown mode, storing fat instead of burning it. Once you understand that, everything changes. Your belly fat is not stubborn, it is misdirected biology. Your cravings are not weakness, they are hormone messages. Your slow mornings are not aging, they are cortisol fluctuations. Your difficulty losing weight is not a personal flaw, it is a timing issue. A 68-year-old man from Denmark once told his doctor, "I thought my body was breaking down, but after learning about the morning mistake and correcting it, he said, I realized my body wasn't broken. It was just waiting for me to treat it the way it needed." That is the message I want you to hold on to. Your metabolism is not broken. It is waiting for the right signal, and that signal begins the moment you wake up. For years, many adults over 50 have started their day with coffee or tea on an empty stomach. It felt harmless. It felt normal. It felt energizing. But inside the body, it sent the wrong message. We are in stress. Protect fat. Slow down. And the body obeyed. It always obeys. When cortisol spiked, belly fat grew. When insulin surged, fat burning shut off. When inflammation rose, waistlines expanded. And because the shift happened quietly inside the bloodstream, most people never connected it to their morning routine. But now you know the truth. And the truth gives you power. A 73-year-old woman in Canada said she had tried everything to lose belly fat diets, Fasting, keto, walking 10,000 steps a day, nothing worked. But when she changed one thing, a small protein bite before her morning coffee, her body shifted. Her cravings disappeared, her belly softened. Her digestion improved. Her mood lifted. And for the first time in decades, she began losing fat without dieting at all. The answer was never to starve the body. The answer was to calm it. That is what eating before coffee does. It calms the metabolism. It stabilizes cortisol. It moderates insulin. It wakes up fat burning instead of shutting it down. This is the heart of senior metabolism. Safety first, fat loss second. Once the body feels safe, it begins releasing stored energy. Once the hormones feel balanced, the belly begins shrinking naturally. And here's what happens next. When this morning mistake is corrected, you feel energized instead of sluggish. You feel lighter instead of bloated. You feel full instead of craving snacks. You feel stable instead of crashing mid-afternoon. You feel confident instead of discouraged. And your belly fat, once stubborn and resistant, finally begins responding. Because your body wasn't fighting you, it was protecting you. You just needed to show it that the morning is safe. As you continue this simple routine, food first, coffee second, your metabolism will begin healing. Your belly will begin shrinking. Your hormones will align, your cravings will fade away. And each morning, you will feel more in control of your body than you have in years. And now, before we end, I want to speak directly to you, the viewer, the listener, the person who has been frustrated, confused, or discouraged by belly fat after 50. You are not too old. Your metabolism is not too slow. Your body is not done changing. It is waiting for you to change the signal you send it each morning. You have more power over your belly, your energy, your hormones, and your future than you have ever been told. And it begins with a single choice you make tomorrow morning, the choice to give your body a message of safety instead of stress. Take that first bite before your first sip. Tell your metabolism you are safe. You can burn fat today and watch how your body responds. This is your turning point. This is your new beginning. And your belly fat does not stand a chance. Now, before you go, if this video opened your eyes, please share it, especially with anyone over 50 who struggles with stubborn belly fat. You could change their entire morning and their entire health. Make sure to like this video if you learned something valuable. Comment below. What was your morning routine? And what will you change starting tomorrow? And subscribe to this channel for more doctor-style senior health videos every week. Your health journey is just beginning, and your best years can still be ahead of you. I'll see you in the next video.